You also known as Duck Corella?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of main intent to
You
criminate.
got any business?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of intent to criminate.
You have any profession?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of main
You
intent to
have any
criminate.
occupation?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of main intent
Are
to
you a
criminate.
known racketeer?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of main intent to criminate.
Mr. named Winkleman at of the Elizabeth
Do you ever
Police.
get any money from Costello?
No.
And did you ever get any money from Meyer Lansky?
Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Smoke Show Sunday night. We've got a good show tonight. I'm really excited about this one. But we've got with us tonight Vet LT3. He's responsible for a pork loin. We got Big Ron. He did something called shotgun shells. We've got James. He's going to be weighing in on some opinion tonight. And we got Jason, who did a very unique way of smoking spaghetti and meatballs. Well, spaghetti, meatballs, and sauce. Maybe not the pasta, but very interesting. And Bruce Wayne's going to drop in on his work on improving his brisket production. So we've got some pictures to talk about. We're also going to, at some point, do a little double back and go back that the Big Ron household actually attempted the smoked Texas chili. So we're going to get an update on how that actually worked out. But Jason, tell us about the. Let's just go to the chili. Let's go to the smoked spaghetti.
So never done it before.
Just a quick lead in, then I'm gonna play the video.
Basically, I thought smoked meatballs and then making your own sauce and smoking the sauce and kind of see how it turned out.
Well, let's take a look at it. Some catchy tunes there. Okay, so what do we got here? Step one was slicing up the vegetables.
Yeah, pretty much. You can keep them in large chunks because at the end of it, we're going to be putting them in a blender, so you don't have to slice them up too thin. But you want to get as much surface as you could on the smoke.
Okay. So you put them in a grill safe pan, some chopped vegetables, basil, salt and pepper, olive oil, preheat your smoker.
Yeah, and just throw it on there and let it do its thing for. I went about 2.5 hours until they got kind of grill looking. I think that's when I first put them on, I believe.
That's going in there, right?
Yep.
Okay. So some foil pans in the smokers, chop your vegetables up, no big deal. So now we're doing some meatballs. So half-pound ground beef, Italian sausage, breadcrumbs.
I left the onion out.
Would you starve to death if Meat Church went out of business? Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to make anything without Meat Church.
It really enhanced the meatballs, actually.
Does it?
So God. Hang on, I gotta laugh. So
hey, we got Tori with us tonight. Hey, Tori, how you doing?
Put everything in a bowl: the sausage, ground beef, cheese, seasoning, egg. Mixed it all up, and then made the meatballs, and then I put them in the refrigerator while the vegetables were smoking.
Okay. So now all the vegetables are done. About 2.5 hours, they're coming off, and you're going to put them into a blender?
Yep, and just kind of throw some balsamic vinegar in there, and then just pulse it so it gets the consistency that you want. That's what they looked like when they were done smoking, and then threw them in the blender and made it into a sauce.
Those tomatoes look good. You can always tell when a tomato gets good smoke on it. It's got that, changes color a little bit.
Yeah, it was really good when I pulled right out of the blender there. It was really
Okay, hang
good.
on. What are we doing here? So we've got
So I
so
put
you
some
put balsamic vinegar, and what's the other one that you're putting in?
just some garlic salt. I after I blended it up, it took a taste of it, and I thought it needed a little bit more garlic and salt in it, so I added some garlic salt to it and stirred it up and got it to the taste I like.
So this is a process kind of do by taste?
Yeah, at this point,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. By the way, all my music is copyright free. I was pretty impressed with myself. I was able to find the themes that I wanted copyright free.
I can see why someone wouldn't copyright this music.
Okay, now we're going to the meatballs.
Yep. Balled them up and then
There you
put them on the smoker.
balls on the smoker, right there.
The meatballs turned out phenomenal, by the way.
So you had enough smoke in them? I mean,
Oh yeah, it was good. I'll definitely be doing that concoction again.
I also did some meatballs this weekend.
you know, I saw yours, Big Ron. I didn't get them into the video, but we can pull them up and talk about them.
That's fine. We'll discuss what they were when we get to mine.
Okay, so just let it chill out on the smoker, make your pasta.
Yep. So I boiled the noodles, and then while the noodles were boiling, I mixed the sauce and the meatballs together, threw it back on the smoker, and just kind of to reheat everything, and then pulled it off and plated it up.
That's interesting. You think letting it rest on the smoker, I think that adds to the flavor?
Yeah, I think it made it more smoky. To be honest with you, I don't know if I'd do that again because
So
the
there
one
it is.
thing, yeah, there's the end result. It was good, but it was definitely, you could taste the smoke to it. I think to do it again, I used mesquite. I think I'd go with a lighter smoke than that for the vegetables, and then a heavier smoke for the meatballs. But overall, my kid just had a reheat of it. It made a lot. He said it was phenomenal.
Okay, how would you classify the flavor then? Now, so we got Italian running, we got basil, oregano, I think as well. So you've got all that running through there. What does the smoke do for it?
Actually, I think it took away the Italian taste a little bit and made it more of a kind of a beefier spaghetti. Maybe to do it over again, I don't know if I would smoke the sauce and maybe just run with the smoked meatballs, or maybe not smoke. Like I said before, just use a lighter smoke for the vegetables because it definitely was smoky. And so you have more of that Italian flavor come through. It was good. I'm not ripping on myself. I'm just saying that I think next time I'd use a different smoke for the vegetables.
Well, you know, you bring up a good point. When we talk about smoking the things that we don't normally smoke, or you don't hear other people normally smoking, or an oddity even with some of this stuff. But one of my concerns with the cheesecake, and also, and the reason I'm asking about the spaghetti sauce is I wondered about that too. Is that at what point does it change what it was supposed to be in the first place, and how much? Sometimes I'm worried about getting too much smoke. Like maybe some of the components I wouldn't smoke in the spaghetti sauce. I think maybe tomatoes, but maybe not some of the other vegetables. Maybe that would take. I think too much smoke ruins the dish, I guess is what I'm saying. But you know what? Bruce tackled actually breakfast on the smoker. He went all out smoking. What'd you smoke, Bruce? You smoked this a steak, a T-bone, a bone-in T-bone steak, potatoes, and I think you smoked actually like your scrambled eggs too.
Yeah, I smoked a T-bone. I smoked bone-in T-bone, smoked some scrambled eggs, smoked potatoes. I smoked mushrooms, and I smoked bacon. It was
Hang on, folks, and give me a second. I'll get a picture of that up. I've got one here. My screen's slightly off.
Man, I'll tell you, those potatoes were fantastic. Probably the best potatoes I actually ever
Right.
had.
So, I mean, we've literally got the whole grill going right now. You've got bacon, you've got steak there, you've got potatoes, and then you've even got some whole potatoes. You're going all out. What's going on?
No, so the ones up front, they're mushrooms, not whole potatoes. Those are just They got some olive oil on them, salt and pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder on
My
the
my
mush.
apo- my apologies, sir, for mistaking your mushrooms for potatoes.
Yeah, gotta have some mushrooms on there. The biggest trick there was timing, because they all heat up a little different. So I did my best to estimate it. The mushrooms cooked a little faster than uh, everything else. Everything else worked out real good, but the mushrooms, they got about perfect, probably 10 minutes before everything else. So the key to making good scrambled eggs is you have to have sour cream, and you don't add sour cream so it's part of the cooking process. You don't want it to be part of the cooking process. So you'll take those scrambled eggs, you'll whisk them up in a separate bowl, uh, and you put oil in the pan, heat it up till there's a nice shimmer on that oil. Then you add that scrambled eggs in. You keep mixing and
Hey, hold up,
chopping.
hold up, hold up, hold up. So that's what's going on right here. What's happening
Yep,
right there? You got your
that's
sour cream, you got your eggs, you got your olive oil, and you got a little sprig down in your cast iron skillet. So you're heating up your skillet right now.
yep,
Yes.
yep. All so really you want to bring the skillet up to temp before you add the oil, and then you add the oil, and you wait till that oil gets a nice shimmer to it before you add anything to it.
So
And
this is what's
then
going on right here. This is the shimmer you're speaking of, right?
no, the shimmer is before you add the eggs. You get a little bit of shimmer
Well,
to the oil
you
just
didn't
from
get me a picture of that, but is that not an example of the shimmer that we're seeing here beside the eggs?
um
Oh, never
yeah.
mind then. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
Well, the shimmer doesn't show up real well on pictures. I did try to get it. It was not showing up on the pictures. So if you can see that, definitely you can see it in real life if you do it.
Okay.
You
Basically though, we all know how to heat up a pan. We'll figure that out with trial and error. But so then you do your scrambled eggs, and at what point do you put the sour cream in?
So you want to do it right before they're fully cooked. So I'll wait probably until about a minute before they're fully cooked. So there's still just a little bit of moisture to the scrambled eggs. Like there's not runny, but there's still some dampness to them. And then you dollop that in, and it melts all down. You mix that all in together, and then take it right off the heat. And it just makes it. It gives them the most fluffy. It just makes them real fluffy and uh, just very, very damp. Not dry, but not runny. It's a good.
So
Yeah,
so you're happy with the moisture content and the consistency with the sour cream added.
sour cream's the best thing I've ever found to do it. Yep.
Yeah, there's a few tricks to that. One is putting adding cold water right at the last minute as you're whipping up your eggs, and then pouring it in. Cold water will evaporate, and it opens up the pores and makes the eggs more fluffy. It actually does work. I've used it before. It's not my favorite, but I've used it before. So you know what? I'll buy you sour cream. I'm down with that. What do y'all think? Jason, Vet LT3, what do y'all think about some sour cream in your eggs?
Never tried it, but I'm gonna.
Same. Never tried it. Sounds good though.
It
Never
doesn't
had it.
flavor them. Like you don't taste the sour cream in it. A lot of it melts out, but it just really fluffs them up and makes it really fluffy and light.
I'll tell
I've
you
used,
what, I'm a big fan of sour cream in cooking. I use it like on my teriyaki chicken. I think it has an ability to take some heat yet maintain some moisture. So I'm not against using sour cream. And I stepped on somebody. Go ahead.
I've used a little bit of olive oil in my scrambled eggs. Whisk them up real good while you're doing it, and it'll induce air into it and give you a nice fluffy scrambled egg if you do it that way. I've never tried sour cream before.
So you add the olive oil to the runny eggs while you're whisking it.
Yeah, you can use a little bit of olive oil. I'm trying to think if I think actually it was clarified butter. I think is actually what I used. Yeah, it was clarified butter. And you whisk it when you have them in the pan and continue to whisk it while they cook, and it will fluff them. It'll induce air into the egg.
I have not tried that, but I will next time.
And I tell you what, that's what I put butter. If I soften up butter and put it in the scrambled eggs and then whip it, put it into the pan, I get good fluffy eggs out of it, but a nice buttery taste too. So I'm a fan of that as well.
Yeah.
Well,
if
I'm
anybody wants
Either way,
to
we had a lot more
certified-
going on than the scrambled eggs and some sour cream, folks. So this is sour cream incorporated, right? These things are ready to come off the skillet.
Correct. Yep. Just pulled that off right there, and then threw it on the smoker. You can see those potatoes are browning up real nice. Those right about then, probably I think about 5 minutes after this picture was taken, I took those mushrooms off, and then the steak and the bacon stayed on the longest. But I did throw the bacon on probably 30 minutes after the steak and the potatoes.
no grits.
No grits, no.
Well, I think I've got another set of pictures actually for this. So give me a second. What'd you do with the potatoes after you bring them off the? So everything cooks out and smokes out in the smoker, and then you pull the.
All right, so I took those potatoes, I put them on the stove, just because they were nice and brown, but they weren't crispy. Because I put butter in there with the potatoes. Okay, so I'll walk you through. I took those potatoes and sliced them. I tried to get about 1/8 of an inch. Some of them were a quarter. Some of them were a little thinner. But I sliced them up real thin. I rinsed them down with water to get the starch off of them. And then I dried them with a paper towel. And then I took those and, first of all, I melted a little bit, or not all that little bit of butter, but I melted butter in a.
Am I showing what you're doing there? What you're talking about?
Almost there. I melted butter in that cast iron, and then I added those potatoes. I turned off the heat, added those potatoes. That's mushrooms. That's the steak.
Hang on, I'll get back to it. Okay, so there you're heating up the pan.
Okay, yep. So there, melting the butter in there while I was cutting the potatoes and washing them, drying them. Then once that butter was melted down, I turned off the heat, took the pan off the stove, and put those potatoes on there, salted them, peppered them pretty liberally. Those are just the mushrooms that I was adding the salt and pepper to. And I added a little bit of Lowry seasoning salt, and then some. I'm a strong believer you can't have too much garlic, so I added some garlic in there, hoping it would can't go wrong with roasted garlic. And so
you
that's what
pretty
those
much
chunks are.
seasoned it to taste. So
Yeah,
you going for
exactly.
breakfast potatoes?
Yeah, pretty much breakfast potatoes the way I like them. And
Okay.
then after we got there, I threw them on there. The potatoes were still perfectly raw. There's no heat from them before this point. And that's when I cranked up, get the smoke going, smoke them at about 225 for 35 minutes before I started throwing the other things on the smoker. Because I did know the mushrooms would cook
So
quicker.
you put well, hold up. You put the potatoes on first. About a 30 minutes head start before you put anything else on. So you're
No.
trying to get your timing right.
Yeah, the potatoes and the steak I put on at about the same time because I've never done the steak this way before, but normally I'll smoke a steak for 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes, and it doesn't really get it up to temp, and then I'll pull that steak off, turn it up to 450, and then finish cooking it, like 3 minutes each side. But this time I just wanted a nice, slow, long smoke, so I threw it on at the same time as the potatoes, and they probably smoked for about an hour all told.
I'd like to interject real quick and just comment on how nice the inside of that cast iron skillet looks with the seasoning and the shine on the edges. That's a nicely looking cast iron skillet.
It is a good looking skillet.
Thank you. I use them almost every day. Love those cast irons.
Okay, so give us a breakdown what it tastes like.
Man, so those potatoes were just mouth-watering. I think the garlic actually came down into the butter. It rendered down or seeped into the butter, however you want to say it. So that butter is almost like a garlic butter with those potatoes. And yeah, then when I took them off the smoker, put them on the stove, and turned up the stove pretty warm to brown them, added a bit more butter at that point. and just browned them, crisped them up on the outside, and it was amazing. I'll tell you, that was some of the best potatoes I've ever had. Just a real strong smoke flavor, but and because the smoke, it eats into that garlic flavor, so the garlic wasn't overpowering, and it just all melded together real well.
Now, smoke will mellow out some strong flavors. Peppers is another thing that the smoke will help mellow out as well. But okay, so that was a win for you. Your
Oh, do you have
fully
the
smoked breakfast.
yeah? Do you have the final picture with the grill marks on the bacon and where I pulled apart the steak? Because that steak, it just fell off the bone. It was just really, really tender.
You
Like
know
it
what?
was.
My apologies. I didn't realize there were 3 emails.
Yeah, sorry. I got that attachment limit. It doesn't let me send more than.
We need to figure that out using, I think, our friends at YouTube. If you'll help me do that,
Yeah.
I think everybody get access to it to drop stuff as a file. But either way, there we go. Okay, so there's a steak. We got a little smoke ring going, and you say you smoked that for like what?
It's
Only an hour?
probably an hour, maybe an hour 15 at the most. Just kept it 225 the whole time. Little fluctuation in the heat, but it always was right around 225. And I didn't do anything more to that steak than just that smoking. Now the bacon, you can see those grill marks on it. That's just from the smoking, but it didn't cook real well. It wasn't nice, and it wasn't where I wanted the bacon. So I threw that on the cast iron and heated it up for probably another 5 minutes.
Okay, so you're saying it didn't crisp up?
No,
Okay.
no, it shrunk up.
And you will have that with bacon in the smoker. It doesn't get to the temperatures it needs to essentially render it down and take some of the moisture out of it and cook it. So sometimes you get soft bacon. But so you just do it in the cast iron, and then how the bacon turn out taste afterwards?
Oh, it's fantastic. Again, probably I'm going to do bacon that way from here on out. And the bacon didn't take long. That was probably a 20-minute smoke, and then 5 minutes on the. So if you're doing anything else on the smoker, throw some bacon on there. Like, you can't go wrong with that. And mushrooms turned out real good. They were not rubbery at all. They were just real tender and delicious. And I was actually surprised by those grill marks you see I get on the T-bone and the bacon. Like it looks almost like it was grilled, but that was just a nice slow smoke that whole time. And then the eggs, they were good too. I don't know that they picked up quite as much smoke as I was hoping. You could definitely taste it, and it may just be that because I had so much smoke flavor on that plate, certain things picked up more smoke than the eggs, and so it wasn't as noticeable. But they were definitely good as well.
Well, and that's the reason I brought up your fully smoked breakfast we were talking about with Jason. That can you ruin a dish with too much smoke? And that's what I always wonder is how much smoke do I want? And with non meat things, when we're speaking of like eggs, I don't know that I want smoke in my eggs. And I think maybe sometimes it's good to not smoke everything that's going to be on the dish. But Jason, what do you think? I mean, you just experienced it with spaghetti sauce, and then I want to get on to some shotgun shells by Big Ron.
Yeah, I've made smoked salsa before, and it's more for vegetables. I think if you're doing a salsa or something spicy, smoke kind of goes in there. If I were to honestly do spaghetti again, I think I would just I'd smoke the garlic and maybe the tomatoes, and then leave everything else out of it. But definitely the meatballs. But like I said, it's not bad, but it took away some of the, I think, Italian flavor to spaghetti.
Okay.
Yeah, I like I grew up smoking things over a campfire. Camping, everything tasted like smoke, smelled like smoke. But there is something to be said about your whole meal not tasting like a campfire.
So if you had to do it over again, Bruce, would you withheld and maybe traditionally cooked maybe the eggs or something else out of that whole menagerie?
Yeah, this is my second attempt smoking eggs different ways, but I haven't been all that impressed with the smoked eggs, honestly. I would have left the eggs unsmoked, and I mean, the bacon was good. Yeah, I don't know that I would have changed anything else, actually. It was a lot of smoke flavor, but it wasn't too much for me, at least.
Okay. Let's go to some stuffed smoked shotgun shells from Big Ron. Now, Big Ron, where'd you come up with this idea?
We actually came across it on one of the social media things. We had seen it, so the wife and I started scouring the internet to see which recipes we liked the best. This one was pretty good. I did some changes to it. Um, we're going to do it again, and I'm going to do some more changes to it with some of the stuff. I didn't like the way it came out. It was good, don't get me wrong, but some things I'm going to change. One of the recipes we saw called for cream cheese in it. I think we may try that recipe next. But you'll note in one of the things that I make a note that it needs to be in the fridge for 4 to 6 hours. That's to allow the natural moisture inside the meats to help soften those shells before they go onto the smoker. That's very important.
Yeah, you make note of that in the video. Let's take a look at it. Okay, so what are we looking at here? That's a big list. Let me pause that. That's a big list. So we got a pound of ground beef, 80-20, 4 to 5 ounces of pork chorizo, but you use sweet Italian sausage.
I use sweet Italian sausage. I was trying to tone it down a little bit. I thought the chorizo would have been a little bit too spicy when you start combining some of these other flavors.
Okay, and some barbecue seasoning, 3 tablespoons of it. This is a dry mix.
That's going to be a dry mix, whatever you prefer to use. I know Jason's got his. I found some new stuff at Lowe's. Come to think about it, that was really well. And then there's actually a special ingredient on there that's Florida only that I use pretty much on everything.
Well, I'll tell you, Jason absolutely would put some meat church in there somewhere. Otherwise,
That would be your barbecue season. Would be your meat church.
it's not a dish that he's willing to stomach. So we got some manicotti shells, the 4 to 16 shells.
Yeah, it's however many you want to make. 4 to 16. We got the 16 pack and we made 16, or I'm sorry, 14 pack and we made 14 of them. And my youngest son came over and grabbed the rest of them.
Okay, manicotti big in your house?
Yeah, we do a lot of Italian food here.
I don't think I've ever cooked manicotti. Let's take a look. But that's the only thing Italian about it is the pasta.
Yeah, just the manicotti shells. That's it.
I do want to get into that, how you cook.
Usually with a stove.
We're going to see it right here. So you're mixing in your meat, your chopped up onions, putting your ingredients into a bowl.
Yeah, I was actually kind of concerned with the onions not rendering down enough, but they actually did very well.
So what we got there? We got some garlic.
Yeah, the directions say use garlic clove. I went a little bit of the lazy route, and we used a bunch of spoonfuls of garlic because there's never enough garlic.
Amen.
We use 2 different kinds of cheese here. We use mozzarella and cheddar. And this is one of those where some of the other recipes call for cheddar and like cream cheese, so there's little variants you can do.
Okay, now we're gonna stuff the manicotti. Now, everybody, all you guys out there, he submitted these pictures. I had nothing to do with this. So we're gonna stuff the manicotti. And then you're gonna put that on a wire rack. Oh no, we gotta wrap bacon. Tell me how you wrap your bacon.
So we just started at the top and pulled it taut and wrapped it around. We thought about maybe putting a toothpick through it, but found out that once you got it wrapped around, it pretty much stayed in place.
Do you have to give it a little stretch?
Just a wee bit.
Okay. So now you're going to dust them again with your favorite barbecue seasoning?
Your favorite barbecue seasoning, whatever that happens to be, and I did show an ingredients list at the beginning of one of the pictures, and we use I also have another thing called Everglades seasoning. I use it on everything. It's great.
What does it taste like?
Uh,
Everglades.
yeah, it tastes swamp water and dead gators. It's like it's just a multi-purpose seasoning. It's just a really good seasoning. It's got MSG in it and some other good stuff. I'm more than happy to send you a bottle.
I'd give it a shot. So here's the part you say is super important. So once you get these things stuffed, you're going to place them on a wire rack on a cookie sheet and set in the refrigerator for 4 to 6 hours. And you say that's an important step. Other than wanting it to set up and maybe hold together better, what other reasons do you want this to happen for 4 to 6 hours?
The natural juices that are inside the bacon and inside the meat that is inside the manicotti shells help soften those shells. If you go from the stove straight to the smoker, you're only looking at about an hour and a half smoke time, total cook time for this dish. That is not enough time for those natural fats and juices in that meat to render that manicotti because it's not in a boiling pot. So this helps to start that process of softening that shell.
That's interesting. I did this exact, very close recipe that you did, and I did not do this step, and it took forever for it to finish. So I didn't even think of that. Good point.
Although Redacted said he'd like to avoid the swamp water flavor. Kind of with him on that one. Kenai, if you can hear us, it says that your devices aren't connected. I see you in the stage, but I can't bring you up because you need to connect with a microphone, or I don't know if you're on a phone or a computer, but the audio is not showing. I can't bring you in. All right, well, let's continue on. Let's see how this turned out. So there we are. We're in the fridge. All right, so some hours later, you're going to preheat the smoker to 275, and you say you're using cherry and applewood mix?
You can use cherry or applewood. Again, these have got pork in them, so that being a lighter colored meat, you're going to want a sweeter wood to go with that. We've talked about that in some of the previous episodes of the Smoke Show of combining woods. You use a heavier or spicier wood, it's going to throw the flavor off. So I used a mix of mesquite and cherry on this one.
Okay, but also said you only smoked it for an hour.
That's it. 1 hour. Then I increased the temperature to 350 and glazed them. Got to watch your hot spots when you do the glaze. For those that haven't done a glaze before, you will burn that sugar. This is also why that 4 to 6 hours in the fridge is so important. You're only got an hour over the heat, and that's not even close to getting those shells to soften up.
Okay, so here we are. You've now turned up the heat, and you're brushing them with sauce at this point, right?
That's correct.
I see a couple hot spots on the very ends, yeah.
Now you brush them with barbecue sauce?
Oh, yes.
Okay, beautiful.
Okay, so we're looking at the finished product here, right?
Yes.
Tell me how the bacon come out. Was it rubbery? Was it crispy? Were you able to control how the bacon was cooked on this?
For the most part, I was. Yeah, it wasn't crispy. It was kind of an in between the. Some people like their bacon a little bit on the soft side. Some people like their bacon a little bit on the burn side. This was about right in the middle. You had some crispy spots and you had some softer spots. Nothing was chewy. Those softer spots were more firm, like bacon should be when it comes out of a pan. So it came out really good. The noodles were al dente, right where you want them. I did find a couple that had a little bit of a firmer spot in the noodle, but that wasn't too big of a deal. And then I have a probe in the center of one of them, which is the one I had in the center of the group, just to monitor the temperature to make sure I got everything cooked because I was dealing with pork. And I'm very weary when it comes to pork internally on things. So I want to make sure I had a good temperature of at least 175 internally, knowing that pork was completely cooked.
Okay. So what did folks think? Was it it?
I liked them.
Brent in Canada says it looks delicious. Big Ron.
No, they were good, Brent. Yeah, they came out good. Now, one of the things I did notice was the sweet sausage that we use. We use Publix brand sausage, and for the most part, they've got really good local meats. We noticed their sweet Italian sausage had a little bit of a kick to it, so I'm definitely happy I didn't use the chorizo. But I think next time we'll use a different brand of sausage to bring that kick down. I was looking for a little bit more of a sweeter flavor on these, but from some of the ingredients that you read, you'll see that they're really aiming for a very spicy flavor. I think Vet LT would like these with the base ingredients, especially his wife with the way she likes the jalapeno poppers and things, because it calls for jalapenos and some and red pepper flakes and some other stuff. Now, the recipe that I use is from a gentleman named Kent Rollins. I used his base recipe and adjusted it, but there's multiple other recipes out there. But if you guys have never checked out Kent Rollins, that's definitely a place to check out when it comes to barbecue and chuck wagon cooking.
I've never looked into chuck wagon cooking, but it's interesting. Actually, I say that um, I actually knew a guy that did that, and I've gone to a couple of his. It's actually damn good food. It's
Oh,
interesting.
it's
It,
phenomenal.
it is pretty cool, but I don't cook that way myself. James, what do you think about the shotgun shells?
I personally don't like chorizo or jalapenos. I hear this doesn't have that chorizo, but it does have jalapenos. I
And I did
would
not use
still eat every.
jalapenos.
Oh, okay, never mind. But regardless, I would still probably eat every single one of those.
Yeah, they came out really good. I was thoroughly impressed. Like I said, I'm going to do them again with a different recipe and see how they come out.
So with the bacon on the outside, so you pick one of these up and you bite it. I mean, what kind of what's going on there? Does it have a little snap to it?
It's got a little bit kind of a firmness when you bite into it because of the noodle and the bacon. And then you get that initial flavor of the bacon. I went with a smoked bacon. I'm not big on any kind of a sweet bacon. So we went with a hickory bacon. So you get the initial, obviously the flavor of the bacon, and then you get the internals, the juices, the barbecue sauce, just all mixed together with a nice mild smoke. It came out really good.
Well, you now, Jason, have you made these before? You said.
Yeah, um, probably about a year ago, and the, I couldn't get the pasta shells to soften up enough. I mean, I smoked those things forever. I didn't go back to them, and I like hearing that let them rest and only an hour smoke time. That's pretty impressive. I did not have that luck, so I will try them again and try to let them sit a little longer. The other thing that I've noticed too with bacon, a lot of times when I do like jalapeno poppers or anything, you wrap in bacon. I've learned that if you buy pre-cooked bacon, if you're going to smoke it, the cooking time and you get a more crispy bacon around it has seemed to work pretty well for me.
Nah, I rebuke you. I rebuke
Okay,
you. And
you can
all
rebuke
named
all you want.
Smoky,
No, you still get it smoky, but
but it's pre-cooked bacon.
well, then you're gonna be smoking it for a long time.
How long would you say you'd be smoking it for, Jason?
Well, it depends on what. Sorry, my dog. It depends on what how thick your bacon is.
I thought that was like crying in the background.
No, it's my dog. He wants to go for a walk. But I tried the pre-cooked on jalapeno pepper poppers last time, and I thought the bacon was much more. It wasn't that soft versus crispy thing. It actually turned out pretty good.
Now that's part of the process of turning that up to the higher temperatures as you get that bacon to cook and render out, and you get those internal temperatures up. Because you're correct, if I was just trying to smoke raw bacon, it would take forever to get it to where I wanted it to be. But that's definitely part of bringing that temperature up, and it's also going to depend on your smoker, whether you're using a microwave smoker or if you're using an offset or an indirect or an egg. All those things are going to vary. So it's definitely going to be a trial and error process when you're doing that.
Yep, totally agree. And yours looked really good actually. I might try them again with that resting period.
I appreciate that. Yeah, the using the raw bacon versus the pre-cooked bacon, you're going to get rid of a lot of that moisture content out of the pre-cooked bacon versus the raw bacon, where you're going to need that moisture internally to get those shells to start softening up after a few hours.
Well, now, since y'all are trading recipes, I hear rumor, and I've got pictures of that there was a smoked Texas chili done by Big Ron. Now, you had some questions you wanted to ask Jason about that. Well, first off, how did it turn out?
My daughter does not like chili, and she loves it.
Okay, what about the people who do like chili? Do they still love it?
We loved it too. It's just my wife thinks beans belong in everything.
No, I rebuke you
Nope.
as well. Oh my
Nope.
goodness.
No, I said my wife. I didn't say me.
Your wife's wrong.
So,
That's
but
why
you
there's
had a
not beans
question
in
about
that.
the you had a question about the thickness, its
Is that about
consistency.
the thicknesses of yours, Jason? I mean, there was liquid in it, but that's how thick mine was. We even added an extra can of tomatoes to it to try to get some more moisture into it.
No, mine was not that thick. How many? I think I put in almost like 85 ounces of tomato in it. I'm not sure. It looks a little thick, but not. There's still liquid in there.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. Started every hour or so, and it had great flavor, good smoke content to it. Um, she said maybe next time she might cook or cut the steak a little thicker, instead of as small as she did. But yeah, we were concerned about the consistency of it. We thought it was a little bit on the thicker side. Um, so yeah, but it was still good. It was still
You,
a great chili.
you want me to tell you a secret?
I would love to hear a secret.
When you're cooking it, it looks like it's a little too thick. Just put a little water in it, man. Water and stir it. As long as you get, you don't want to put water in it and then take it off the heat. You want to cook it with some water in it, but all it's going to do is generate some like gravy and juices to it. So doesn't hurt chili at all. Add a little water.
We actually thought about that, but we didn't want to stray too far from his recipe to try to stay as close to it as possible to make sure it came out right. Even to the point where we used the same pan.
Yeah, but I don't think it would damage your chili. And of course, I wouldn't add a whole lot. But if you just want to break it a little bit to get the consistency you want, I wouldn't see a problem with it. But it looks good. So was Jason's instructions recipe? Was it easy enough to follow? Did you use the
Yeah.
video?
No, I actually had Jason send me the recipe so I could print it out. And that's what I did is I printed it out that way we could follow it step by step in the kitchen. And that's why I was asking about the consistency, because I don't remember the recipe that Jason sent me actually having that level of ingredients of 85 ounces of tomatoes in it to maintain the liquid factor.
It was like 82, or I think I ended up using like 3 big cans and 4 smaller cans. I can't remember, but it's a lot of tomatoes. Whatever I sent you is what I did, but I don't think it looks bad, to be honest with you. I think it looks actually really good. And as far as the size of the steak, I cut mine up into bite size, like if you were to take a piece off of a ribeye and put it in your mouth, that's kind of the size of steak that I put in there.
That's about what we did. But like I said, she wants to go a little bit bigger.
No, as long as like your daughter, she's like me. I hate chili. I love chili now. It's a completely different ball game without the beans.
Oh yeah, she had a smile on her face, and Bonnie said, "Well, whenever I say I'm making chili again, this is what I mean by we're making chili, is we're making this."
That's
Okay,
awesome.
so easy enough. So you'll try it again. Maybe get the consistency that you want and become a household favorite there. Maybe, huh?
We're
Um,
hoping so.
Hey, I want to welcome Kenai, Alaska. Has finally got into the studio with us. We've had little issues getting him in and out, but Kenai, I'm not going to yours just next, but Kenai is going to show us how to smoke uh, fresh caught salmon, Alaskan style. But Vet, you jumped into a pork loin this weekend, didn't you? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Went and
In
bought
fact, you know what?
fresh.
I'm gonna play your video because I've got the pictures, I got the stuff there, but I got a lot of questions that I'm gonna just have to pause and ask you about as we go on what your process was here. But so How big? First off, how big was this pork loin?
It was big. It was a lot bigger than what I was anticipating. I went to Sam's, bought a fresh one. It was every bit of like 6 pounds, and and it looked like an eel when I got it all on the smoker. But I did a garlic rub. I used garlic butter rub, salt, freshly ground pepper, and then also took minced garlic and put it on there as well. And then I let that sit, and then
Okay,
went
so
out.
we're looking at the picture. You're recalling my memory. We're gonna go off these pictures here because I got some questions. First off, I know that you and the Big Ron household, y'all shop at either the same grocery store chain or you pick up the same Spice World minced garlic out of the jar. Pretty amazing that we've seen that appear twice tonight. So you put some minced garlic on it. We got something with this seasoning here with the cow head on it. What's that?
I'm sorry, I lost you there. So last second you cut out. You said what's what? I'm sorry.
What's that with the cow head on it? What kind of
Oh, that's
seasoning is that?
Kinder's garlic and butter.
So you're using the
Seasoning.
garlic and butter dry rub?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, I will vouch for any kind of a Kinder seasoning, and this specific one is actually really good. And if you throw this into some potatoes, it's phenomenal.
What about meat church? Could you use meat church there and not use the Kinders?
Never tried meat church. Kinder's is my stuff, man. I've got the all-purpose. I've got the brown sugar. And I've got all kinds. Kinder's is my go-to, man. I love that rub, man. So
Okay, so
first time I've used the garlic though.
But here we're using the garlic butter.
Yeah, garlic butter rub, garlic and herb butter rub.
Herb, okay.
But yeah, got it on there. Let that sit for a while. Didn't let it sit overnight. Didn't get to go to Sam's until early in the morning. So
All right, so there we go. We got the big eel on the. What is happening here? We've got this. We've got this very large pork loin, and you got the
Very
trimmings
large.
there. It's already trimmed, so you got the fat off of it. It's looking pretty good there. So you got your salt and pepper, you got your Kinders, and it looked like you put the diced garlic down the back like a fin.
I sure did.
That's what we got going on there.
Yep, and made sure there was a lot of garlic oils from the jar too in there. I wanted it sitting in the pan with it, so that's what's going on right there. And then yes, the fat, everything, I left it on there because once I took the pork loin off of the pan, set it actually on the smoker, I took the pan with all the seasoning on it and everything, with the garlic juice and everything on there, left it on there, added a little bit of water.
Yeah, we're gonna see that here in just a second. All right, so we got the meat prepped up. We're going to the smoker now, firing up the smoker.
I'm not gonna lie, that looks like the backstrap from a T-Rex. That is huge.
That is huge, man. I'm impressed. I don't know that I've seen a pork loin that big. But what we got going on here, you got the trimmings on the pan, everything's in the smoker, and so you're going to render down those trimmings in a pan with its own juices next to it, right?
Correct, sir. Everything's sitting right there, and that pan is literally sitting where the smoke comes from the reverse smoker. So it's getting that initial brunt there. And then I let that cook for about 2 hours. But also 1 hour in, I put some of the juices on the pork loin, let it sit, and then the second hour before I wrapped it, I spritzed it with apple cider vinegar.
All right, look like your temperature is somewhere right about 220, 210?
225, sir.
Okay, so that's good. That's good, solid temperature. So you basted at least once in that 2 hours, right?
Twice. Well, one with the rendering, and then the second one with the apple cider vinegar.
Okay. So after 2 hours, you're going to wrap this thing in foil or parchment paper, right?
Yes, sir. I wrapped it in foil, and then before I put it back on there, I put the last of the rendering all in there.
Yeah, we're watching that happen right now.
Yep, that's all the garlic and fat and all that good stuff.
I think you said your dog was going to eat good too.
Yeah, he ate that those fat trimmings there. He was loving that. He had a great dinner.
All right, so there it is, wrapped up, that huge pork loin.
Well, I shot the T-Rex out from my backyard. We're in Kentucky.
Man, that
They
thing's
run wild,
big.
and I trimmed it off.
Okay, so you bring it to temperature. And this is what's coming in. This is the unwrapped there. So you got some good color in it. Look at that ring.
That ring right there, I was proud of myself right there. That ring, it got in there. That smoke got really deep in there. It was like at least over
And it
a quarter
wasn't-
of an inch.
It wasn't too dry either. It looked like
No.
it's got a good cushion to it.
Did you buy a
flexibility
cutting
to it.
board, Vet?
Yes, I have 2 cutting boards, and I actually ordered one that our good friend Jane sent. It's huge as hell for these long pieces of meat I've got. So, yeah. So
Look,
I've got
man,
one.
if you're gonna go out and buy 4-foot long pork loins, which I don't know what pig that come out of, but that was a big damn pig. I don't know what to tell you, but let's talk about that. I want to go back to the money shot on that. Give me a second.
Yeah, I don't know where Sam gets their pig from, but damn it, that thing was huge.
That's got great color on it. Look at that penetration level.
Oh yeah, no, it was
looks
great.
good.
And also to talk about the like how it wasn't dry. When I pulled it off the smoker, the foil must have caught on something, and my God, if it wasn't like a can of soda's worth of juice just falling straight out of the wrapping. I mean, that sucker was good and tender. It was fantastic.
That's why I like parchment paper.
Yes, I will be getting myself some here shortly. Trust me.
Okay, so talked about so you don't really have a bark built up, but you guys will call it a bark. What did that taste like? All the seasoning and the garlic and the garlic juices, as you say, you put on them. How was that?
Oh, it was really good. Yeah, you could definitely taste the garlic and the garlic flavor. Really taste the mesquite. And that's the wood I used to cook this, mesquite. Most of it was mesquite all the way through, except for the last hour. My wife doesn't really care for the mesquite flavor, a little bit too much fight for her. So what I did was at the last hour, I smoked it with apple. And you can still taste the mesquite, but it wasn't as strong. And my wife loved it. So that was one way to get around, because I was going to cook it with mesquite no matter what, but I wanted my wife to enjoy it as well. So I just threw that apple in there, a little experimentation, and it actually came out real good. Took some of that bite out, but kept the mesquite taste in there. It was really good.
Cool. Anybody else got anything to say about that?
No, I think you did a really good job on that one. It definitely looks better than some of the pork loins I've done.
Yeah, that looks really good. The cool part about pork tenderloins is you can cook them with. I did a lemon pepper one a while back. You can change up the different seasoning you use, and with pork, it's real easy to do that. It's you could do a pepper based, you could do a lemon pepper based, you could do more of a seasoned salt type based, or a garlic butter type base. But pork tenderloin's a great piece of meat to experiment with for different flavors. But yours first is the biggest cut of a back of a pig I've ever seen in my life, and it turned out looking really good.
How was the tenderness?
Oh, it was very tender. There's a video I asked my son. He's my barometer on anything I cook. Man's a carnivore, or young man, I should say. He's 16, so he's approaching that manhood. And he's my barometer. If he doesn't like something, I know it's not good. And I gave him a bite, and he was like, "That's good, Dad." And the thing that made it the best, he came back for seconds. I think he even came back for thirds. So it was really good, really tender. My wife can't stand anything dry at all, and she loved it. She, I think, ate about like 3 or 4 slices herself. That loin is so large. I've got a huge Tupperware bowl full of it. I'm gonna be eating me some pork loin sandwiches for lunch here this whole entire week coming up. I'll tell you that.
What was the weight of that? How big?
I think, I swear, okay, I went and bought a brisket, which is about 10 pounds, and that's for my next smoke. But I think, I swear, the poundage was about 7 or so pounds of that loin right there. And it was fresh too. They were out. I thought I was going to have to do an audible. and the guy comes from around back, freshly wrapped loins, just throwing them on there, and I was like, "You're the man," and I picked it up, and honestly, in the wrapper, it wasn't that big, and then when I undid it and did everything else, and it just stretched out, man, and it's huge as hell. That's enough to cook for a small party. I'll tell you that right now. But it's okay. I will force myself to eat that for lunch. I know it's me, putting my arm, twisting it and everything, but trust me, I'll force myself to eat that for lunch every day.
I tell you what, the favorite way I like to eat a pork loin is I like it smoked, but served with a cream peppercorn sauce. And the trick to that is an cast iron skillet, and you put the whole peppercorns in there before you make the sauce, and you heat them up till they start to sweat a little bit into the pan, and then you add in your cream sauce, and you make it like any other recipe that you'd make. But that is the most delicious thing on a pork loin that I've ever eaten. It is my favorite.
Yeah, I wait with humble breath for you to send that recipe to me. My wife was there when I was reading your comments when we were discussing it in the group chat, and she said that sounds good. And also, she's wanting to make something called cowboy sauce. I've never heard of it, but she has, and she's wanting to make that too. So
let's do it. You know what? I may do that for next week's show. A demonstration on how to make a real good cream peppercorn sauce. It goes good with a lot of things, and we'll talk about this towards the end of the show. But the other thing we're going to do is we're going to do a Hasselback potato challenge. It's not a real difficult dish to do, but you can do a lot of stuff with it. You'll have to Google it. I won't tell you what it is, but a Hasselback potato. If anybody knows what it is, you can comment on it. If not, then but we're going to do examples of that for next week. I want to welcome Kenai, Alaska, off X with us tonight. Folks, he's got a very unique smoke session for us. Well, for us anyway, probably not unique for Kenai, living in Alaska, but for us down here in the lower 48, and this is not something we get to see. But Kenai, can you hear us? We got good comms with you?
Yeah, I think we're good. I had a few issues setting up, and I think I'm in a good place. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're coming in loud and clear. So
right.
This is something you do quite often, right? This is a part of the food that you're going to put in the freezer, and you're going to preserve for the rest of the year?
It is, yeah. This is something that many Alaskans look forward to annually, and it really is a big part of our lifestyle.
Yeah, you seem to have it down. Let's watch what Kenai sent in. And I may pause this here. So here, what you're talking, you explained what subsistence fishing is for Alaska residents. So please explain what you're talking about there. What is subsistence fishing?
So subsistence fishing it's something that the state of Alaska decided that should be not just for native or indigenous people in Alaska, but it should be for everyone who is a resident of Alaska. And that is honestly, I think it's a very communist view of resources, but it also it's to me also common sense. All of Alaska's resources should be for their people, and not just if you're Alaskan native, but anybody who's a resident. And so if you're a resident of Alaska, you get the opportunity, you have the right to the to salmon, to the harvest or the bounty of the land. And so that's what this is just as a resident, you can participate in this.
Do you have to have a license?
Yes. Yeah, it's I think it's a $45 fishing license.
Okay. So that's what you do this every year?
Yeah, I try to.
Okay. Let's see what it's all about. So yeah, you're at the mouth of the Kenai River catching these red salmon. Salmon, excuse me. I don't know why I can't speak tonight.
Yep.
So we've got 25 head of, so 25 fish per head of household, and then 10 for each other additional family member in the house. So
I could have taken 45 this year. I didn't need that many. But what we see here, this was actually from 2021. There's about 14 or 15 fish in that cooler, and that's when I left the beach. That was one tide.
it's a good sized fish.
Yes, sir.
This is an official Alaskan fish camp right here. There's the net. You've seen it, folks. Ice chest, it's all right there. So you get them home and you fillet them and you leave the skin on?
Yeah, that's where the fat is. That holds the fat in. There's a lot of flavor there. You don't eat it, but keep it on.
Okay. So you got some of these vacuum sealed. They're gone right. They're straight to the freezer. All right, I want to pause it here. I want to talk about this. This is a little different than normal instructions. So boneless. The fillets are boneless. You brine in 1 cup of salt, 1 cup of brown sugar per gallon for 24 hours, about that time frame. And you said the ratios and ingredients can vary a lot. What does that mean?
Man, Joe, there are so many different ways people do this, and I've heard from everything from you dump in as much sugar and salt as you can get into your 5-gallon bucket of water. As soon as it stops absorbing or dissolving, then that's when you stop. All the way down to trying to do a dry rub, and I've done dry rub. I've done both. With this particular batch, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get to it that night. I couldn't start smoking. I had to go back to work the next morning, so I wasn't going to get to it for a little more than 24 hours. So I went really light on the salt. A normal ratio would be 2 to 1, 2 cups brown sugar or other sugar, whatever, to 1 cup salt, and then let it brine. And the idea here is just to you want to get that you want to get a lot of moisture out for the smoke and leave that good oil in there.
Oh, and I want to talk about the drying until water evaporates. So you just set them out, let it evaporate, and the skin is tacky.
Yeah. It's you rinse off the solution and or the brine, and then set it out. And you don't want to leave it out too long. Obviously, you have some sanitation issues. It's got to be nice, clean. If you have to have a fan on, you want to keep the flies off of it because they will come heavy on it.
So, but you want to lay them out so you can get the water evaporate. You want them dry before you start to smoke. Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Let's see how that goes. So some of those did make it to the freezer. Some of these are going to get smoked for preservation, right?
Yeah, these are all for the smoker.
How do you choose how much you smoke versus how much you just freeze? What's the deciding factor for you?
It's just essentially how I feel that at the time. We try to freeze as much as possible, but I guess smoking and freezing the rest is that's for fun.
Okay. So tell me what this alder wood skinning is. I don't have to skin any wood I smoke with here. I just burn it. So you got to take the bark off this wood.
I do. Yeah. So this was deadfall alder. So I didn't have to let it dry or get seasoned. So this was picked up as deadfall, and there's a lot of dust on it. And so I took all that bark off. It has a different it changes the flavor of it. I just wanted the wood, so I just scraped it off.
Okay, that's interesting. I've never heard of that. I figured in my mind whatever it is going to burn off, but yeah, you may have a point. So you use some native alder wood. How hard is that to do to strip off the bark?
It's easy.
Oh, okay. So now you're mixing it though with some apple.
Yeah, this was leftover apple from a previous smoke project. Just purchased at Home Depot.
Okay.
And you want it to be wet. It's got to be wet because you got to smoke it cold.
Yeah, target temperature is 100 to 130 degrees. That's pretty cold fire.
Yeah, it is. You don't want to lose that salmon oil.
I want to go back there and look at your fire for a second. If I can grab my little flag, yeah. Now, it looks like you've got charcoal briquettes underneath there. Do you burn charcoal briquettes and then put your smaller pieces of wood on top for the smoke, or what's your method there?
Yeah, I do. So the reason I did this, I've done this for quite a while. I've tried using setting the smoker up, and I don't like this offset smoker for doing salmon. It's too close, too hot, so it's tough. But I just need I need a coal bed that is descending. That's not going to heat up anymore, because the wood chunks, they're going to dry out and they're going to increase your temperature. And you just really got to keep that temperature low, but you want the smoke. The briquettes, as long as you get them, as long as they're coals, you're not going to get any of that briquette flavor in there, but you get good smoke. Otherwise, you just can't let that temperature get too hot on you.
So you really got to stay on top of the temperature here. So okay.
Yep. Feed it small pieces at a time and keep the smoke rolling.
More smolder than fire.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get too hot, or the oil drips way off the fish, and that makes it not as tasty, or.
Oh yeah. It's all about that, about the oil.
And the smaller pieces, so you just got to watch it. How do you know when these things are done?
Well,
does it look like that?
Yeah, you don't start off with as many as you don't end with as many as you started off. So you sample it throughout. What you're looking for is firm. What can happen if you get it too hot? You can end up with a char on the outside and mushy on the inside, and you really don't want that.
So you're looking at a consistent, firm texture all the way through?
Yep. And not too dry, but you're going to get a good cook on it. It's going to be cooked.
That is. So when do you eat that stuff, man? So it goes into the freezer, or you smoke it, you vacuum seal it, and you're saving it up. I mean, what's it like? You come in, one frosty October evening and break open a package of smoked salmon and just like munch on it, or you cut it and use it in dishes, or what do you do?
Yeah. So yes, Joe, that's exactly what you do. You Saturday morning, you get up, you can put it on, if you want crackers, you can throw it on Ritz, melt cheese over top of it. You can make salmon dip with sour cream and mayonnaise. Put it on crackers. You take it out hunting with you, just like you would open up some jerky. Have beef jerky. You pull out the salmon. Of course, you want to make sure you got your bear gun with you as well.
Do they like smoked salmon as well?
I think so, because man, you can smell that a long ways away.
Well, who doesn't like smoked salmon, right?
Right.
So, in Alder, you and I have had this conversation before, but For those that don't know, alders, you say it's very similar to, maybe lighter than a hickory, but in the same vein as a hickory wood or hickory smoke.
I think so. Hey, drop me your address and I'll ship you some.
Yeah, I will. I would actually. Do they have it in like little bags? Can I buy this stuff anywhere?
I don't know. Probably.
Does this send your address thing open to other people? Because I will pay for that. That sounds worth trying.
You know,
Yeah.
hickory's pretty good, but a lighter hickory for a lot of things, like even chicken and stuff, might be things that absorb smoke very quickly. That may be right on the money. Jason,
Yeah.
you ever smoked with alder?
No, I have not. But I just did a Google search, and you can actually buy it online. They do make a alder wood chip.
Yeah, and I saw they make them out of pellets too. How does alder, Keena, have you ever smoked with beech or like aspen? Is it kind of similar to that?
You know, it is similar to aspen. In fact, here aspen and alder grow. They'll grow right side by side. I've never smoked with aspen, at least not that I know of. But it's the hardness of the wood is very similar.
And does it give you kind of a sweet flavor, kind of like the fruit woods, or how do you describe it?
You know, it. That's why I added the apple to it when I smoked it this time. Yeah, it is kind of it's just mellow. It's a little bit mellower than mesquite or hickory. I don't know if I'd call it sweet. One other thing that I've smoked with is birch. We have a lot of birch here, and birch is a very sharp flavor. Which I mean, if you want something smoked and you go with a good hard birch, that's outstanding.
I've used birch to smoke my bourbon before.
Yeah, it's a different flavor.
Yeah, see, I haven't smoked with any of these northern woods that you guys are talking about. I've used oak and all the common ones, and I think just about every fruit wood. But I have not smoked with any alder or birch. I didn't know that birch was even a smoke wood. Redacted says you could absolutely sell and ship those from Alaska. He believes there is a demand out there. I'd be curious to see what the smoke is like.
Yeah, me too. That looks amazing, Kenai. The way you did that looks like it was smoked to perfection. And I think the way that you were describing it, like some cheese and crackers, man, that sounds sublime.
Yeah, it's a good dessert. I know people put it in pasta, make some kind of a cream pasta. There's a lot of things you can do with it. One of the things I don't like, and not very many people do it here, is make like a what do you call it? Where it's raw still. So most Alaskans won't do that.
Sushi?
Yeah.
Ceviche?
Yeah, ceviche or things like that, or lox. We don't generally do it like that, but there's so many. When I was talking about the ways to brine it, there are so many things that people do that are different. I mean, you can do. I've done it with soy sauce, things like that, and what I really have come down to is just keep it simple and enjoy the salmon flavor. You know, and one of the things about it is if there's any hint of fish taste or smell in it, you've waited too long. I mean, this stuff needs to be processed within 24 hours.
So I got a question for you. I'm in Minnesota, and we do like pickled northerns and pickled whatever. Do you guys pickle salmon up there at all?
Yes, we do. We do, absolutely. Yeah, some jalapenos and Pickling spices, yeah, you bet.
Now, what about marinades? Like I
Hang
hate
on,
to.
pickled fish does not sound good. That does not sound
No,
like something. It's like a sardine in a can. I'm not going to eat that.
no, it's very good, Joe. You don't know what you're talking about. You should just be quiet right now. It's very good.
Yes, that is outstanding.
But so, what about marinades? Do you ever marinate it, or is it mostly the best way to do it is with a brine?
So yeah, you can marinate it, but um, like if you're gonna take a red salmon, a sockeye, and if you're gonna make it for dinner, you could absolutely do a good marinade, and it's gonna turn out fantastic. No matter what you do, it could be as simple as uh, Italian uh, Italian dressing thrown on top of it, um, or anything else you want to do. It's very versatile. I mean, we make tacos with it.
Okay, because I was wondering if, because I know salmon's a lot softer of a meat than say beef. So I was wondering if you wanted something acidic in there, or if that would break it down too much, and it would just kind of absorb the flavor without the acid.
Yeah, no, you can go acid. We usually often we'll just bake these salmon fillets like we're looking at right here. Throw them in the oven with dill and lemon, butter, salt, and pepper, and you've got that's a good meal.
Yeah, and I do like lemon on salmon. That is one of my favorite ways to do it. And some capers, actually.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
bet. Yeah, it's
What?
good. Very, very good.
Kenai, are you catching your own capers up there too?
No, I don't know anything about those.
I don't know that we grow them here in the States. Maybe California, but
Aren't they a creature? Am I
no
wrong about that?
capers. Well, they're not, are they juniper berries? I don't know what they are actually.
That's what I thought they were, a dried berry.
Yeah, they're some type of plant. They're definitely not a creature, but
Yeah,
they're pickled.
we do have junipers here, but you have to climb. They're high altitude plant.
I'm gonna look it up.
I'm jealous. You can just go catch fresh salmon. I love fucking salmon. That just looks great, man. I'm just jealous of that.
So dip netting is just one way to do it. The real sport fishing is you step out in the river with your rod, and uh, it's called flipping for salmon or flipping. You just flip out about, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 feet of line, and these guys, they swim upriver with their mouths open, and you just let your fly or your hook float downstream, and sometimes you'll catch them. And right now, Kenai River is open, and this is upstream of the mouth. It's open for 6 salmon per day.
So, serious question for you, Kenai. You ever have to go fisticuffs with a grizzly bear to fight for those salmon?
Yeah, I have had one run in with a grizzly. It was probably 10, 12 years ago. I was off the beaten path on the Kenai River, and I had just gotten out there, pulled off the road, hiked about 200 or 300 yards. I mean, a little ways. It was a good hike. I was out where nobody's going to hear you yell, and I tossed the line out. I got fouled and tangled and ended up losing my hook. So I had to fix everything back up, and I was bent down, tying on a new hook and getting everything going. When I stood back up, all hell broke loose. There was a blonde phased brown bear, probably 50, 60. I mean, it was close, 50 or 60 feet away from me. And when when I stood up, I heard a grunt, and then it just took off at a 40-degree angle from me, across where I was looking, and I scared as much as it did me. And I dropped my fishing pole, pulled out my 45, and that thing was, by the time I got my, or 44, by the time I got my pistol out, it was well out of range. It would have run me over, but fortunately, it was as scared as I was.
Man, glad you
Hey,
made
folks,
it
I
out.
want to apologize to Miss Chicky. For some reason, your comment come in on top of everyone else's, and it seems out of order chronologically. So my apologies. I think she said this a while back when we were talking about brining the salmon. What about ocean water for the brine? Is that something that you can do, Kenai?
I've never thought about that. Um, I
I don't know
I
how
just don't know.
sanitary that would be, given all the bacteria and small creatures that live in ocean water. I don't think that would be good to do. You might end up contaminating the meat.
Just added.
I agree. Where, especially right there at the mouth of the Kenai, there's a lot of dead and decaying fish that end up coming down there, because they'll swim up 20, 30 miles and spawn the entire length, and after they spawn, they die.
So just a quick side note, that capers are they grow in like Greece, Spain. They do actually grow in California. They're called the Flinders rose. They kind of grow in a pod. You break them open, so they're not.
No, you're
Anyways,
right. I looked it up too. I don't know why I was thinking that this was some sort of a fish or a part of a fish, but I like them. They don't have like a great taste, but I like them on like some chicken dishes too.
yeah, nice and salty. Add a little bit of little something to it. Je ne
Sure
sais
enough.
quoi. But
But folks, it's been a great show. We're about to close it out. We'll jump into an after party. Give us about 10 minutes or so once we close it out. But I want to thank all of our listeners and the folks that chimed in on the chat. Some good comments there. Pretty solid. I also want to show or ask Vet. Vet, you've gotten your blood makes you related, loyalty makes you family shirt, haven't you? The Joe New shirt.
Yeah, I have it.
So tell us about it. Is it a pretty solid shirt? Designed well? You
No, the
getting looks when
design's
you wear
great.
it?
The design, it fits great. Uh, I don't like a tee that has a loose neck around there, so it fits nice. Um, and I already got my first comment on it, man. I wore it to the gym, and a gentleman looked at it, pointed at it, he smiled, gave me a thumbs up, and and I was like, I took that as a great compliment. But no, it fits good, man. It looks good, and it does mean a lot. People know, if you know, when it comes to that shirt. And I like it, man. Just let me know when you come out with another one.
We'll have another one out. I'm hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow. I'll have the artwork done on that. But back at it in a coffee cup. I'm going to throw a coffee cup in there. I think a lot of our listeners are damn sure drinking, and Big Ron could drink bourbon out of a coffee cup too.
I can drink bourbon out of anything.
Well, this is true. Boot, shoe, doesn't matter. Hands.
I do love my coffee in the morning, though. Gotta have it every morning, nonstop.
But folks, I've got more of these shirts. If anybody's interested in one, shoot me a DM on X, and I'll get you set up. I'm putting together an order now. I've got a couple of orders. I'm going to add a few more to it, and we'll get another order out here pretty quick. But as Vet says, it is one of those things. If you know, you know. Most veterans will understand what that phrase or expression means. It means a lot to me as well. But that's our show tonight, folks. Thank you very much. Catch us in get that down. Sorry about that. Catch us in the after party here in about 10 minutes. Thanks.
Time to criminate.
Name Winkleman of the Elizabeth
Do you ever
Police.
get any money from Costello?
No.
And did you ever get any money from Meyer Lansky?
I never got money from any of those fellas.
None of those
None
fellas?
of those fellas. None of these
except
that I've
for
been reading about, or none that I knew. They never gave